Many of us are confident that we know what lies beneath the surface of our rivers, lakes, and swamps. We tend to think that only old, abandoned items rest there, worn-out shoes, sunken logs, and sometimes lost fishing gear. When we look at the dark, murky water, our gaze usually stops at the reflection of the sky, and we don't even suspect that beneath this thin veil lies an entire mysterious world. Amazing, dangerous, and sometimes astonishing. A world of sunken cities about which legends were told, mysterious ruins buried underwater. A world of those ancient settlements that existed long before thousands of warriors met on historical battlefields, laying down their lives for future generations. A world of creatures that breathe air but live underwater, and mysterious ghosts born of destructive tsunamis, left after natural disasters. We think that all great discoveries have already been made, that all maps have been drawn, and all secrets revealed. But what if we tell you that this is a dangerous misconception? That the most incredible, frightening, and history-changing artifacts are not hidden in dusty museum storerooms or in the depths of archaeological excavations. They are lying right now at the bottom of the nearest river, waiting for their time to be revealed to the world. Today's story will not be filled with banal tales or outdated legends. We are going to dive underwater and walk along the muddy bottom to rank the craziest, most inexplicable, and astonishing finds made in the freshwater bodies of our planet in recent years. This is not just a list of amazing things. It is proof that the deepest and most mysterious secrets are not hidden in space, but right under our feet, in the bodies of water that seem ordinary to us. And today we will put everything in its place to understand how little we know about the world we live in. Before we proceed to the main part of our story, we would like to ask for a little support. Any attention from you, a like, a comment, or just conscious perception will be the best gratitude for our work. We thank you for this. And now we begin our countdown, which will start with a seemingly amusing story, almost anecdotal in nature, but with a deep meaning. It's all about sloths. These unusual creatures have long become a symbol of incredible slowness. Their name has become synonymous with laziness and sluggishness, and we are used to seeing them in documentaries, hanging on tree branches in tropical forests, moving so slowly that it seems as if they are frozen in eternity. Their maximum speed on land is about 1.5 meters per minute, sometimes even less. They are so clumsy and slow that algae manage to grow on their fur, as if they are turning into living little ecosystems. Imagine this situation. You are rowing a boat down a river in the Amazon jungle and suddenly notice this fluffy, very slow creature descending from a tree, splashing into the water with a thud, and starting to swim. And it does this 3 times faster than it can move on land. This is not a fantasy. Sloths can indeed swim and do so masterfully. Their long, powerful front legs, which seem clumsy and slow on land, turn into effective paddles in the water. They can hold their breath for about 40 minutes, slowing their metabolism to a very low level, which helps them survive in the rainforest conditions where frequent floods turn the land into an archipelago. Scattered islands of land connected by waterways. The only way to move between food sources in such conditions is to swim across rivers. Watching a swimming sloth is like observing a turtle that suddenly, in the southeastern United States, in the murky waters of rivers and swamps, hides an amazing creature that seems to have emerged from a distant dinosaur era and still lives among us. This is the alligator snapping turtle, also known as the alligator turtle. But it is not just a large turtle, it is a true giant among freshwater turtles, the largest species in its category on the entire planet. This river monster can reach a weight of over 100 kilograms and live up to 200 years, making it one of the longest living inhabitants of freshwaters. Its shell, covered with 3 powerful rows of bony spikes, gives it the appearance of an ancient, almost fantastical creature, reminiscent in shape of an ankylosaurus, a prehistoric dinosaur covered in armored plating. This aspect of its appearance makes it especially recognizable and impressive. The beak of this turtle is razor-sharp and incredibly powerful, like hydraulic shears capable of easily cutting through a wooden shovel handle. The strength of its bite surpasses even that of a great white shark, which speaks to the incredible power of this creature. But the most astonishing thing about it is not its size or strength, but its unique hunting method, which can be called the pinnacle of evolutionary cunning. The turtle prefers to sit motionless at the bottom of the river, completely calm, with its mouth wide open. Inside, at the tip of its tongue, is a small, bright red worm-like appendage. This appendage can be called its secret weapon. It wiggles it, mimicking the movement of a real worm, which attracts the attention of potential prey. When a fish swims by, noticing the easy catch, it makes its final mistake, unaware of the trap. At the very moment the fish approaches, the turtle snaps its mouth shut with stunning force and speed, leaving no chance for escape. This is not just hunting, it's a perfectly honed mechanism, crafted over millions of years of evolution. This turtle is a living trap, using its natural skills and cunning to survive. Encountering such a creature in the river is like touching an ancient, brutal, yet incredibly efficient world that existed long before humans appeared on the planet. These two rare creatures, the sloth and the alligator snapping turtle, rank 15th on the list of amazing animals because they represent two extreme poles of evolution. One is an example of incredible adaptation to the environment, breaking our usual perceptions of a species and its capabilities. The other is a living reminder that in the quiet river waters, monsters from the prehistoric past still slumber, preserved millions of years ago and continuing to astonish modern humans. Delving into the history of these unusual creatures, we realize that the strangest finds in river waters are not always covered with a layer of ancient dust or the patina of time. Sometimes they smell of fresh silicone and tell a completely different story of human carelessness, random coincidences, and amazing twists of fate. This story takes place not in a wild, exotic territory, but on a quiet stream located in Forest County, Wisconsin. Two friends, Elliot Furr and Jason Franklin, embarked on their canoe journey, enjoying the tranquility of nature and the silence of the surrounding forests. They were passing by an impressive beaver dam, which seemed part of this living natural world, and at that moment noticed something strange sticking out from the tangle of branches and silt. It was not just a random creature or debris, it was a human leg, more precisely, a high-tech prosthesis. Imagine their surprise when, in the heart of the wild, in a structure built by the animals themselves, they discovered a complex medical device. When the prosthesis turned out to be in excellent condition, its finders, upon returning home, immediately felt they were facing an unusual mystery. Modern people, accustomed to seeking answers on the internet, did just that. They took their smartphones and typed something like, "lost leg prosthesis in Wisconsin." And to their surprise, they almost immediately came across an ad posted just 20 days ago on a site known as Craigslist. The ad told the story of a man named Mark Warner, a 40-year-old resident of Green Bay, who shared his story. He wrote that while fishing on a lake, his canoe capsized, and he ended up in the water. While he struggled to save his gear and himself, his artificial leg, the prosthesis, slipped off and sank to the bottom. Mark searched for it for several days, but unsuccessfully. Elliot and Jason, upon hearing about the incident, contacted Mark and after some time, returned his lost property. The place where they found the prosthesis was about 5 kilometers downstream from where the boat had capsized. For their honesty and diligence, the young men received a small reward, $50. This story deservedly takes the 14th place in our ranking due to its uniqueness and contrast to the grim and mysterious legends of river monsters or sunken treasures. There is nothing sinister or mystical about it. It is a vivid example of how nature itself sometimes writes amazing and funny scripts. This situation shows that a river is not only a keeper of ancient secrets and legends, but also a participant in modern, sometimes absurd stories. The hard-working beavers, unknowingly, turned into accidental saviors, preserving and even accumulating a valuable item that could have been lost forever. This story serves as a reminder that behind every strange or unusual item found at the bottom of a river, there is often not a tragedy, but just a very, very unlucky day of fishing. Sometimes, instead of mysticism and mysteries, a funny or even instructive story surfaces, bringing a smile and prompting thoughts about a lighthearted and kind approach to life. But if we move on to the story that takes the 13th place in our ranking, it does not evoke smiles or kind feelings. It is a heavy, cold, and silent witness of a cruel era, which was raised from the bottom of one of the most famous rivers in the world. the River Thames in London. This river is not just a water artery of the city, but its living history in which artifacts from all eras are hidden. On its bottom lie items that have passed through centuries, from Roman coins and ancient ceramic shards to modern gadgets like smartphones. But one day during low tide, a London enthusiast, fascinated by the search for ancient relics, noticed an unusual round metal object on the shore. Initially, he thought it was just ordinary old rusty trash left over from past years. However, when he pulled on it, he felt that a chain was attached to this heavy metal sphere. It was not simple metal, but a cannonball, though not one used for military purposes. No, it was a prison weight, a heavy metal object that was shackled to a prisoner's leg to slow their movement and complicate escape. Archaeologists studying the find were amazed at its preserved state. The object had lain in the water for over 300 years, and the black mud, devoid of oxygen at the bottom of the Thames, created unique conditions for the conservation of the metal, allowing it to remain almost intact. This piece of iron was not just an object, it was the last hope, and in the depths of the mysterious waters of rivers and lakes, sometimes hide mysterious objects and creatures whose history and nature evoke both admiration and awe. One such artifact, left after the tragic fate of a person, is the unusual ball with a chain, which is now exhibited in the Museum of the London Docks. This find evokes a special feeling, for before us is not just a metal object, but a physical testimony of suffering, struggle, and despair. Perhaps this ball and chain once belonged to a person who tried to break free, but maybe the chain got caught on something underwater, and his fate remains forever unknown. It is possible that the river became his grave, taken into the depths, and now this chain, like a grim monument, reminds us of his tragic story. We will never know if he managed to escape or if his fate was sealed. This artifact ranks 13th on our list because it embodies something much more than just a historical relic. It has become a symbol of suffering, inner struggle, and hopelessness. Unlike many finds that speak of wealth, power, or cultural achievements, this item speaks of pain and human suffering. It reminds us of the dark side of London's history, of the thousands of nameless prisoners whose fates were swallowed by the merciless river, forever vanished from memory. These finds make us pause and reflect on the human cost paid in their attempts to gain freedom. They remind us that behind every historical event are human destinies, often unknown and forgotten. In 12th place on our list are two types of creatures that challenge the traditional understanding of the word fish. These unusual inhabitants of the underwater world are living proof that evolution is not a linear process of development, but a complex, tangled labyrinth full of unexpected turns and strange experiments of nature. The first of them is the snakehead, a remarkable creature that resembles a snake more than a typical fish in appearance. Its body is elongated, long and thin, and its head is a true work of evolutionary imagination, resembling a reptile's head. But appearance is not the only thing that makes it unique. Its main advantage is the ability to breathe air. The snakehead has a special organ located above the gills, similar to a primitive lung, which allows it to absorb oxygen directly from the atmosphere. This unusual adaptation makes it an ideal hunter and survivor. It can live in stagnant waters low in oxygen, where most other fish perish, unable to find suitable conditions. But that's not all. The snakehead can move on land, wriggling its entire body and crawling from one body of water to another, covering significant distances. Imagine this scene: a fish emerging from the river, crawling across your lawn, disappearing into a neighboring pond. This is not a scene from a science fiction horror movie. It's a reality that has already become part of our world. Originally inhabiting Asia, the snakehead was introduced to the United States, where it quickly became one of the most dangerous invasive threats. This predator is insatiable and aggressive, devouring everything in its path: fish, frogs, small mammals. Upon entering a new ecosystem, it immediately destroys native species, taking the top of the food chain and becoming the dominant predator. Its aggressive behavior is particularly evident when protecting its offspring, making it dangerous even to humans. If the snakehead is an untamable conqueror, then the second representative, ranked 12th, is an ancient fish legend, a living remnant from the era when life was just beginning to conquer land. In this mysterious state, called estivation, some fish can spend entire years waiting for water to return to their habitats. Such fish, especially those that dig deep wells, sometimes find their inhabitants. Fish in a state of suspended animation, at depths where the ground is hard as stone. These deep layers, often several meters below the surface, conceal astonishing secrets. One such remarkable species is the lungfish. Not just a fish, but a true living bridge to the distant past of our planet. This creature is not just part of the fauna, but a unique transitional species, like a window into the era when the first vertebrates were just beginning to explore the land. This is why the lungfish and the snakehead occupy the 12th place on the list of the most mysterious creatures, as they are simultaneously a living nightmare and a true wonder of nature. These two species embody the astonishing complexity of evolutionary processes and serve as a reminder of how amazing and multifaceted our world is. The snakehead is an example of how evolutionary adaptation can become a formidable weapon capable of destroying entire ecosystems. At the same time, the lungfish is a symbol of life's resilience and the unusual paths it has taken to conquer the planet. Both of these species prove that a river is not only a habitat for fish, but also a true arena for the most incredible evolutionary dramas. Water becomes a space where amazing transformations occur, where miracles and nightmares are born, and where every depth holds its secrets. Now prepare for the next amazing creature, which ranks 11th on our list. The name of this creature seems like a joke or even a bad pun, and its appearance confirms that nature certainly has a sense of humor. In 2018, scientists exploring the depths of the Southern Ocean off the coast of Antarctica with a special underwater apparatus stumbled upon something so strange that it baffled them. In their viewfinder appeared a semi-transparent, gelatinous creature the size of a chicken, slowly drifting in the water column. This creature had no head, eyes, or mouth. It simply floated, contracting its thin, membranous wings. The official name of this creature is Enypniastes eximia, but among scientists and nature enthusiasts, it quickly gained a simpler and more expressive nickname, the headless chicken monster. In fact, it is a representative of holothurians, a sea cucumber, but not the lazy sausage-like kind we are used to seeing on the sea and ocean floors. This species has evolved to adapt to deep or pelagic life, meaning life at very great depths. It has learned to swim and spends most of its life hovering in absolute darkness at depths of up to 3 kilometers, where the pressure could crush even steel. It feeds by descending to the bottom, where it scoops up silt with its tentacles and then rises back into the water column to avoid predators. Its semi-transparent body helps it become less noticeable in the darkness of the depths, making it almost invisible to the eye. This creature was first discovered in the Gulf of Mexico, and scientists were convinced it inhabited only there. However, a discovery in the icy waters off the coast of Antarctica, on the other side of the world, became a real sensation. This fact shows how little we know about life in the ocean depths and how closely interconnected the various ecosystems of our planet are. This monster is neither a predator nor an aggressor. It is simply a very strange creature, perfectly adapted to life in some of Earth's most extreme conditions. It occupies the 11th place on our list precisely for its uniqueness and peculiarity. It is a vivid example of the surrealism of the underwater world. Its appearance resembles a creature from nightmares. We move up to the 10th spot in our ranking, and stories unfold before us where the murky waters of swamps become not just dangerous places, but keepers of not biological, but technological relics. These stories tell of those who found themselves trapped in time and oblivion, whose fates were tied to the disappearance and preservation of something unique. At the center of attention are the fates of those rare birds whose last flight ended in Tracine, in the depths of the swampy expanses, where they lay in oblivion for more than half a century. Over time, these planes turned into legends, and their wreckage into peculiar monuments of an era. The first of these stories takes us back to the times of the Great Patriotic War in 1942, when fierce battles flared up in the Pacific Ocean. At the center of the narrative is a B-17 bomber, known as the Flying Fortress, returning after a raid on Japanese positions. At one point during the flight, it was hit by a series of strikes, and the plane was seriously damaged. Fuel tanks were punctured, and the crew realized they would not make it back to their base. The most sensible decision was to make an emergency landing. The pilot made the responsible decision to belly land the aircraft in the swampy area of Papua New Guinea. This landing, despite the seemingly risky situation, turned out to be surprisingly successful. The entire crew survived, and after a few weeks they were rescued. But the plane remained in that spot, sinking into the Agambi swamps. As the years passed, this wreck, slowly sinking into the mire, became part of local legend. It was called the Ghost of the Swamp, and with each passing year, it gained more mystery. People considered it a mysterious entity, a symbol of a vanished era and heroism. It became a point on the map for the most daring adventurers eager to find and touch history. It wasn't until 1970 that the Australian military officially rediscovered the plane, finding it in the swamps. Amazingly, it was almost completely preserved. The oxygen-poor swamp water created conditions that significantly slowed the corrosion of the aluminum body. Inside the plane, everything was almost untouched by time. Machine guns, crew's personal belongings, even a thermos with remnants of coffee. Everything remained in its place. In 1966, a complex operation was organized to extract this ghost of the swamp. It was dismantled and transported to the United States, where restoration work is currently underway to turn it into a museum exhibit and preserve it for future generations. The second story, equally impressive and more personal, took place in India. It all began during the Indo-Pakistani War in 1971, when an Indian Navy aircraft piloted by Lieutenant S.K. Gupta was shot down and fell into the waters of the Bay of Bengal. A local fisherman nearby rescued the pilot, pulling him from the water, but the plane sank and was lost forever. More than half a century passed, exactly 55 years, and the grandson of that very pilot, who had heard this story since childhood, decided to find the site of his grandfather's crash. He dedicated years to studying archival documents, current maps, and interviewing locals to get any clue. In 2010, with the help of a team of professional divers, he finally discovered the plane's wreckage. This required incredible persistence and luck, as searching for a vessel that had lain at the bottom for more than half a century, based only on a family legend, is an almost impossible task without determination. These two stories rank 10th in significance because they are not just discoveries. They are time capsules filled with memories of the past. These planes are not. It was an unusual train composition, unlike the typical trains carrying coal or grain. In its cars were not ordinary cargo, but entire fuselages of the latest aircraft models produced by Boeing. Such a train was headed to an assembly plant where these parts were used to build modern aircraft. Its route ran along the picturesque, slow-flowing Clarkford River, which wound through green meadows and slopes. But one day on one of the railway's bends, disaster struck. Due to a mechanical failure in the system, or possibly due to worn-out rails, several cars suddenly derailed. The power of this multi-ton train was astonishing. The momentum and force accumulated during movement literally swept the cars off the embankment. As a result, the heavy metal structures, like toys, began to fall, crashing with a deafening noise and clatter directly into the icy waters of the river. The scene that unfolded before the rescuers was extraordinarily surreal and simultaneously eerie. Parts of the fuselages of modern airplanes were thrown ashore from the water, like the massive bodies of giant whales. Their greenish sections, coated with the patina of time and water, jutted out of the river, creating a strange and ominous landscape. Nearby, wings, engine parts, and debris of various components floated in the water, all reminiscent of an aircraft crash site. However, unlike typical disasters, these planes had not even been fully assembled and prepared for flight. The incident was notable not only for its scale, each individual sectioned wing or fuselage weighed several tons, but also for the complex operations required to retrieve them, involving heavy cranes and specially prepared equipment. Unprecedented efforts were needed to rescue and clear the river of debris, as giant metal structures had to be lifted from the water and carefully brought ashore. Fortunately, a human tragedy was avoided, as the area where the accident occurred was sparsely populated and posed no threat to people. However, this event caused significant disruptions in railway traffic and raise questions about the safety of transporting such massive and expensive cargo. This story ranks ninth on the list of the most vivid and instructive events, as it starkly illustrates the fragility of our high-tech civilization. We create enormous airplanes capable of crossing oceans in mere hours, yet a single faulty bearing in a rail car can lead to a catastrophe, sending these machines to the bottom of an icy river. This discovery is not just another artifact of the past, but a living reminder of how easily our achievements can be destroyed or become the cause of tragedy. The sight of the planes never having taken to the skies, cast ashore by the Montana River, creates a powerful and unsettling image, prompting reflection on the cost of progress and the fragility of our modern technology. They remind us that even the most complex engineering solutions and achievements are not immune to random errors or failures. It is like a monument to modern industrial failure, standing as a reminder of the need for constant vigilance and responsibility. The view of the sunken planes, never having reached the sky, in their icy and lifeless abode, is a powerful image, evoking feelings of anxiety and contemplation. It underscores how valuable our technology is and how easily it can be destroyed if proper precautions are not taken. This case shows that even the most advanced achievements created by human hands remain vulnerable to the unpredictable forces of nature, and that progress always carries risk. We delve deeper, not only into the water, but also into the world of ancient legends, myths, and terrifying discoveries. In the 8th position on our list is a place that has instilled fear and dread in the local inhabitants for centuries. Many of the remains found there had unusual, elongated shapes. These strange skulls were the result of an ancient practice known as ritual artificial cranial deformation, used by some ancient cultures. From the earliest childhood, infants' heads were tightly bound so that their skulls would grow in a specific direction. This procedure was considered a sign of high status and was associated with religious or social rituals. People believed that such deformations granted their bearers special status, making them more important or closer to the deities. But the question arises, why did so many people, including those with deformed skulls, end up at the bottom of this mysterious cave? Were they victims of ancient gods, such as Xibalba, or was this a burial site for the elite, the upper echelons of society? Or perhaps these people hid here from some terrible catastrophe, drought or war, and perished, trapped. Exploring this cave is very dangerous and risky. Some of its tunnels are so narrow and crooked that even experienced explorers like divers can barely squeeze through with oxygen tanks. Any careless movement, panic, or wrong decision, and the cave could become their grave. This discovery ranks 8th in significance because it lies on the edge of science, mysticism, and extreme adventure. It is not just an archaeological monument, it is a true portal to another world, a world of ancient beliefs, brutal rituals, and hidden secrets. The legends turned out to be true. The cave indeed served as a gateway, but not to the world of gods, rather to a past that proved to be much darker and more mysterious than anticipated. This portal opens the door to an era filled with cruelty and inexplicable events, revealing secrets hidden for centuries. One could say that this discovery is something special, as it seems to transport us to another dimension where ancient religions and brutal rites reigned. In this place, myths and reality merge, and each find raises even more questions. In the 7th position among great discoveries stands another, more modern and alarming fact. It is not an ancient artifact or mythical creature, but an invisible, silent, and very dangerous specter of the era, which, like a poisonous shadow, has tainted an entire river. This specter is a symbol of a modern threat, hidden behind the facade of progress in science. We found its traces in the state of Washington, on the banks of the Columbia River, where the famous Hanford site is located. This site is considered one of the most radioactive and dangerous places in the Western Hemisphere. During World War II, a massive plutonium production plant was built here as part of a top-secret project, the substance that became the heart of atomic bombs. It was from this plutonium that the core for the Fat Man bomb, dropped on the Japanese city of Nagasaki, was made. The site was chosen deliberately. It was located far from populated areas, and the powerful Columbia River flowed nearby, providing a crucial component for cooling nuclear reactors. For decades, from the 1940s to the 1980s, plutonium for the American nuclear arsenal was produced here in Hanford. However, this process had its terrible side effects. It generated a massive amount of radioactive waste that needed to be disposed of. Millions of liters of toxic liquids were stored in huge underground tanks built specifically for this purpose. Over time, due to flaws in the storage system and corrosion, many of these tanks began to leak. Radioactive substances such as plutonium, strontium-90, and cesium-137 seeped into the soil and groundwater, eventually reaching the Columbia River. This story ranks 7th on the list of the most significant and instructive events because it serves as a stark reminder of the side of human nature that often remains in the shadows: irresponsibility and the dark aspects of scientific progress. The Columbia River, flowing through our world, holds not ancient legends or forgotten civilizations, but the grim legacy of the Cold War, an era when humanity was on the brink of self-destruction, and that brink could vanish at any moment. This discovery serves as a chilling testament that the scariest monsters are not those hiding in dark depths, but those we create with our own hands. And while ancient curses were often just legends and myths, the modern curse, born of human anger and irresponsibility, has a very tangible half-life. It is measured in thousands of years, and its effects continue to impact us even today. Now we move up to the 6th spot on this list, because this discovery is one of the most astonishing and significant archaeological finds in the history of modern humanity. It completely overturns our understanding of life and culture in prehistoric Europe, forcing us to reconsider long-held views. In the distant year of 1996, in the valley of the Talents River, located in northern Germany, a truly sensational discovery was made. An amateur archaeologist, stumbling upon a human shoulder bone with a flint arrowhead protruding from it on a steep bank, became the first witness to what this mysterious piece of land concealed. This find was intriguing, but seemed no more than a coincidence. However, when more thorough and systematic excavations began, everything changed. Excavating the area, scientists discovered that the riverbed and banks over several kilometers were literally strewn with human bones, weapons, and horse remains, all of which testified to a massive tragedy of the past. Radiocarbon analysis revealed that all these remains belonged to the same time period, the 12th century BC, the Bronze Age. What is particularly striking is that these were not just random burials or scattered remains. The nature of the injuries, pierced skulls, broken bones, as well as spear and arrowheads lodged in the skeletons, all testified to a massive battle that took place here. Not just a skirmish or a clash between two groups, but a full-scale, brutal battle involving numerous warriors. To date, archaeologists have discovered the remains of more than 100 people, mostly young men, as well as 5 horses and thousands of artifacts, including bronze swords, spears, arrows, and even wooden clubs resembling modern baseball bats. But the most astonishing aspect is the scale of this event. Scientists suggest that the discovered portion is only a small part of the entire battle. They estimate that up to 4,000 warriors could have participated in the battle. This finding is the earliest documented evidence of large-scale and organized warfare in European antiquity. Until then, scientists believed that Bronze Age society was relatively peaceful, with conflicts limited to small raids and skirmishes. However, this tragic battle in the Talents Valley completely refutes these notions. It proves that people of that time could engage in large-scale and bloody battles, similar to the famous battles of later eras. Could it be understood who these people were? Why did they engage in battle? What was the cause of this bloodshed? Isotope analysis taken from the teeth of the participants showed that many of them were outsiders, coming from afar, possibly from southern European territories. Was it a clash between two armies or an attack on a trading caravan crossing the river? Unfortunately, we cannot say. Centuries have passed since these places vanished from the face of the earth, leaving behind only mysterious ruins submerged in the sea. These sunken cities are true repositories of ancient secrets, hidden beneath the water's surface, and their history continues to intrigue adventurers and scientists. One of the most famous such places is the city of Pavlopetri, located off the coast of Greece. Its discovery occurred in the 1960s, and since then it has been considered one of the oldest submerged settlements in the Mediterranean. This site attracted attention not only because of its age, but also because its ruins turned out to be much more extensive and unique than previously thought. Unlike simple scattered remains on the seabed, entire streets, building fragments, and even artifacts have been preserved here, allowing us to imagine what this city was like in its time. Moreover, some findings suggest that its destruction might have been caused not only by natural disasters, but also by human activity or even catastrophic events lost in the depths of history. This entire picture, shrouded in sea mist and covered with a layer of marine dust, seems like a living page from long-gone eras. While most scientists lean toward the theory of the city's natural disappearance due to earthquakes or rising sea levels, many enthusiasts and researchers continue to believe that the underwater city holds many more mysteries. Some are convinced that remnants of ancient ritual structures or even treasures, which have yet to find their owners, may be hidden here. In this context, the mystery of sunken cities becomes a symbol of our desire to unravel the secrets of the past, to seek answers to questions that modern science has not yet fully resolved. These ruins, submerged in the ocean's darkness, seem to beckon, promising to unveil the secrets of ancient civilizations. They remind us that even today, there are places where time seems to have stopped, and history continues to live underwater, hidden from the eyes and ears of modern man. This is the magic of sunken cities. They become a bridge between the past and the present, between myths and reality, reminding us that the history of human civilization is full of enigmas yet to be solved. It is these mysterious ruins, half hidden in the sea's depths, that ignite our unquenchable interest and desire to touch the secrets of long-gone eras. For as it is known, the most astonishing discoveries are often hidden where we least expect them. This unique place, a fully preserved Bronze Age city with its streets, buildings, inner courtyards, and even tombs. The age of this ancient settlement is approximately 5,000 years, making it one of the oldest cities on Earth. It predates most of the stories described in Homer's poems and even precedes the legendary tale of the sunken Atlantis, known to us from ancient philosophers. Thanks to modern technologies, particularly underwater 3D scanning, scientists have managed to create an accurate and complete digital map of this city, marking an important step in the study of ancient history. It turned out that the city's area exceeded 50,000 square meters, indicating its significant scale. It was a thriving port center, an important hub of international trade, connecting the two great civilizations of the time, the Minoan and Mycenaean. Such a city served not only as a place of constant exchange of goods, but also as a center of cultural and political connections between peoples. But what happened to this ancient city? Why did it disappear? According to most scientific hypotheses, around the 10th century BC, it was destroyed by a powerful series of earthquakes that caused irreparable damage. The land literally sank, and the water that seeped into the ruined streets and buildings engulfed it, turning it into an underwater city. Amazingly, over the millennia, it has remained almost untouched, which is considered a true miracle of archaeology. This city gives us a unique opportunity to glimpse into the daily life of people who lived long before the emergence of classical Greek civilization, before the advent of great philosophers and heroes. It is as if it transports us to an era when people built their homes, traded and communicated, laying the foundations of a civilization that later became the bedrock of Western culture. But there is another, even more mysterious and grandiose story associated with the legendary city of Dwarka. According to Hindu texts, this city was founded by the god Krishna himself, and according to legends, it reached incredible sizes and wealth. For thousands of years, Dwarka was considered merely a myth, a legend existing only in oral traditions and ancient scriptures. However, in the early 1960s, and then during new underwater expeditions, archaeologists began to find astonishing evidence of this city's existence off the coast of the Indian state of Gujarat. Underwater, remnants of a large city were discovered. Paved roads, high sandstone walls, traces of port structures, all testifying to its former grandeur. Copper coins and various artifacts were also found, some of which are estimated to be as old as 9,500 years. If these datings are confirmed, it will completely overturn our understanding of the beginnings of civilization in India, pushing its origins back several thousand years. Legends tell that Dwarka consisted of 900,000 palaces made of silver and adorned with precious stones. Of course, archaeologists have not yet found silver palaces, but the scale of the ruined remains is astonishing. The question arises, why did this great city end up underwater? And why does official science still approach these findings with caution, considering them more the result of natural geological processes rather than man-made structures? These mysterious ruins spark much debate and discussion among scientists. While some consider them natural formations, others insist that they are ancient cities built by our ancestors many thousands of years ago. These two sunken cities, one recognized by the scientific community, the other remaining a subject of speculation and myths, occupy the fourth place in significance because they embody the dream of any explorer, to find a lost world. They show that legends and myths may not just be tales or fiction, but distorted memories of real events and places that once existed on our planet. And a biologist named Paul Robson was known for his passion for studying marine life and creating underwater films, in which he and his team captured many amazing scenes. One day during filming in the ocean depths in the dark abyss, a strange creature suddenly approached the porthole from the darkness. It was something unusual, long with webbed fingers, resembling a hand that seemed to belong to an aquatic creature. At one point, it pressed its hand against the glass, as if trying to show or convey something. Then it suddenly pushed off and disappeared into the dark abyss with incredible speed, leaving behind only a mysterious shadow. This short but very impressive footage caused a real sensation. Millions of people believed that the captured footage could be irrefutable evidence of the existence of mermaids or other unknown aquatic humanoids. Why did this fragment look so convincing? Firstly, it was shown on the reputable Animal Planet channel, known for its seriousness and professionalism. Secondly, the film claimed that at such depths, the water pressure was so great that a person in a diving suit simply could not be there. This ruled out the possibility that a prankster or professional diver was trying to fool the viewers. Thirdly, the speed at which the creature retreated seemed superhuman, as if it possessed incredible swiftness, unattainable by an ordinary person. All of this was created so convincingly and professionally that many believed in the reality of what was happening. Later, it was revealed that the entire film was an artistic production, a hoax created in the found footage genre. The creators admitted that everything was done using computer graphics and professional actors imitating aquatic creatures. However, by the time this news became known, it was already too late. The video had gone viral, spreading across the internet, and began to live its own life. It became part of mass culture, and to this day, thousands of people are convinced that this recording is real evidence of sea monsters hiding in the ocean depths. Authorities and television channels, of course, had to declare it a fake to hide the truth. But even after this, many continue to believe in its reality, thinking it is just part of a large-scale campaign to conceal the truth. This story ranks third in popularity, not because it proves the existence of mermaids or aquatic humanoids, but because it vividly demonstrates the incredible power of television and the human desire to believe in miracles. This short, entirely fabricated clip became more influential and recognizable than many real scientific discoveries. It turned into a modern myth, a digital folklore passed from mouth to mouth and from internet to internet. It perfectly illustrates how easily our perception can be manipulated and how strongly we want to believe that in the dark, unexplored depths of the ocean, there is something more than just fish and squids. This case became the most famous hoax in the history of cryptozoology, and it is precisely because of this that it is so important for understanding the mechanisms of mass perception and trust. In second place on the list is a story that truly gives people goosebumps. It contains no humor, no scientific explanations, and no obvious debunking. There is only one eerie, inexplicable anomaly recorded at the very center of one of the most terrifying catastrophes of the 21st century. In the past 24 years, when a massive tsunami in the Indian Ocean claimed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people, numerous videos were made capturing the horrific aftermath of this natural disaster. But among them, one stood out for its mystery and mystique. In 2014, a user named Alant uploaded a short clip to the video hosting site YouTube, which was cut from a longer recording of the tsunami. This clip, Presu in Japanese folklore, there is a special category of ghosts called yurei. These ghosts are the souls of people who died a violent death, and many believe that such spirits can manifest as tragic and grim figures. In folk legends and stories, one often encounters descriptions of such images, which are perceived as embodiments of grief, anger, or misfortune. In most cases, these figures appear before witnesses as ghostly, indistinct silhouettes, sometimes with pronounced features of the tragedy associated with a death that was violent and sudden. Such an image is often perceived as the manifestation of yurei, vengeful spirits remaining in the world of the living due to injustice or a tragic fate. However, there is a second, more grounded hypothesis that explains the appearance of such figures more rationally. Some believe that this is not a supernatural phenomenon, but a simple gas cloud. For example, in the case of a damaged car fuel tank or gas cylinder, from which a stream of gas could suddenly escape. This gas, under certain conditions, can appear as something moving and taking the shape of a figure. Skeptics, however, argue against this version, pointing out that the movement and behavior of this figure are too deliberate and difficult to explain as a simple gas cloud. They note that the figure changes direction, as if clinging to surrounding objects, as if trying to hold on or even follow something. Such behavior is hard to explain from the standpoint of physics and the nature of gases, and thus many lean towards the idea that it is something else, possibly a mysterious optical illusion or an unusual optical effect. The third hypothesis takes us into the realm of mythology. Some suggest that what we are seeing is a sea creature from Japanese folklore called ningen. This is a mythical creature resembling a humanoid cryptid, which, according to legends, inhabits the icy waters of Antarctica. It is described as being white in color, with humanoid limbs, which somehow could have ended up on the shore after a powerful tsunami. Some believe that such a tsunami could have washed one of these mysterious creatures ashore, which in turn would have spawned new legends and stories. However, this version is undoubtedly the most fantastical of all, as it requires belief in the existence of sea humanoids, which no one has yet seen or confirmed. The most frightening aspect of this video is its context. It is not just a random appearance of a strange figure on a regular day, but a phenomenon that emerged at a moment of mass death and destruction. It is in such moments, according to many, that the most mysterious and inexplicable manifestations occur. This gives the figure a particularly sinister significance, as if it is a symbol of catastrophe, grief, and death. We cannot say for certain what it is, perhaps merely an optical illusion, a defect in the film, or just an unusual coincidence. But despite all this, among the many mysterious videos filmed in recent years, it holds a special place for its level of anxiety and mystical tension. It does not attempt to prove its reality, does not provoke debates about authenticity. It simply exists, a strange, frightening, and inexplicable phenomenon that emerged from chaos, pain, and tragedy, and still raises debates and doubts about our ability to understand the world around us. And now, ascending to the pinnacle of this mysterious ranking, we encounter a story that is perhaps one of the most vivid and enigmatic tales of treasure and betrayal. At the center of this story is a fortune that lay at the bottom of a river for more than 300 years, and the dramatic fate of its owners. It all takes place in the 15th century, during the decline of the Ming Dynasty in China, when the country was in a state of deep crisis. Peasant uprisings were raging within the country, tearing it apart. During this challenging period, one of the most famous rebel leaders, Zhang Xian, this event is considered one of the most significant and important in the history of archaeological excavations conducted in China. Its significance is hard to overestimate, as it not only confirmed the existence of an ancient legend that had been passed down from generation to generation for centuries, but also opened a unique source of information for studying one of the most complex and least understood periods in the history of this great country. Each discovered item is not just a piece of metal or an artifact. It is a living witness of an era, a participant in which were people who left their mark on history. These finds help to understand how ancient Chinese lived, how their destinies unfolded, what events took place in those times. Excavations continue to this day, and each year archaeologists manage to discover new and more astonishing objects, revealing even more secrets of the past. This story holds an honorable place in our ranking because it perfectly combines all the elements that make archaeological discoveries so thrilling and captivating. It has everything: a heroic tale of wars and betrayal, lost treasures whose value by modern standards could rival the wealth of entire nations, and a legend that seemed impossible but turned out to be true. A mysterious story brought to life through modern scientific advancements. Thanks to the efforts of scientists and archaeologists, what was long considered lost forever was found. Unique items that hold the secrets of past eras. These discoveries are not just a handful of coins or random objects. They are a national treasure, lifted from the riverbed, serving as living proof that sometimes the most incredible stories, once thought to be fairy tales, are actually hidden under layers of silt and sand, waiting for their moment to come back to life. After such discoveries, it's hard to look at the murky river water the same way, as it transforms into a symbol of mystery and wonder, holding the wealth of the past. A huge thank you to everyone who managed to watch this story to the end. Your support, your attention, are very important to us, because it is thanks to you that we can continue to share such amazing stories. Don't forget to recognize the importance of your participation. Your likes and subscriptions help us grow and develop. And of course, we recommend not forgetting to click the bell to stay updated with the latest news and not miss our new releases filled with interesting discoveries and captivating stories.